Most startups don't fail because the idea was bad. They fail because the plane never left the runway. Starting a business is actually a lot like an airplane trying to take off. Before a plane lifts into the air, it needs a runway, a long stretch of ground where it can accelerate, build speed, and generate lift. The pilot pushes the engines forward. The aircraft starts moving faster and faster. At first, nothing happens. The plane is still on the ground. But eventually, if the runway is long enough and the aircraft builds enough speed, something changes. The wings generate lift, the plane leaves the ground, and once it's flying, the whole game changes. But if the runway isn't long enough, or the aircraft never builds enough speed, the plane simply runs out of ground. Startups work exactly the same way. When you start a business, the money you have isn't income, it's runway. Runway is simply how long your business can survive before the money runs out. And in the early stages, that runway is the only thing giving your business a chance to take off. Let's say you start with $100,000. If your monthly expenses are $10,000, you have about 10 months. 10 months to find customers, 10 months to prove the business works, 10 months to generate lift. Now, 10 months might sound like a lot of time, but in business, time moves very fast. Products take longer to build than expected. Customers take longer to convince than expected, and mistakes are almost guaranteed, which is why runway is so critical, because every dollar you spend shortens that runway. And here's the mistake many founders make. They start spending money like the plane has already taken off. They rent a nice office. They invest in expensive branding. They buy tools and software they barely use. Sometimes founders even start paying themselves comfortable salaries very early. All things that make the company look real. But none of these things actually create lift. Because in business, lift looks very simple. Lift is customers. Lift is revenue. Lift is someone actually pulling out their wallet and paying for what you built. Until that happens consistently, the business is still accelerating down the runway. It might feel like progress, but technically you're still on the ground. And every dollar you spend shortens the distance you have left. That's why experienced founders think about money very differently. They don't ask, can we afford this? They ask a much better question. Does this help us reach customers faster? Does this help us validate the idea? Does this move us closer to revenue? If the answer is yes, it might be worth it. If the answer is no, it's probably decoration. And decoration is expensive when the plane is still on the ground. Early stage startups are not finished companies. They are experiments trying to become companies. And experiments need time. They need space to test ideas, make mistakes, and learn what actually works. That's what Runway provides, time to reach lift. Because once a business starts generating consistent revenue, the dynamic changes completely. Now the plane is flying. Now growth becomes possible. Now you can invest in the office, the brand, the team. But before that moment, the only job is to take off. Many startups don't fail because the idea was wrong. They failed because the runway ran out before the business ever generated lift. And once the runway ends, gravity wins.